Starts a little bit chilly, some frost to talk about in spots, but we warm gradually, slowly but surely this week. The wind diminishes and we get warmer temperatures back. And the good news is for those missing sunshine, the sunshine will dominate this week as well. I'm Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Thanks for joining me on these weekly Sunday sunset chats. Anytime you need us, we're at CapitalWeatherGang.com. My latest forecast right here directly at CWG.news/latest. I am going to make sure I'm able to see your comments. I think let's see, we've got most of this going now. There we go. Good evening, David. Thanks so much for tuning in from Facebook. Good to see you as well. And I think we've got Twitter tuning in as well. Very good. As you can see, we've got sunshine dominating. Wind will diminish this week, and we'll get some frost out of the way by tonight and tomorrow night. We want to discuss that as well. It's going to be cold in some spots. So make sure we know the difference between frost and freeze. We've got freeze advisories and frost advisories, freeze warnings and frost advisories in the region. A little bit early, which we'll talk about climatologically, and this could be a little bit more widespread tomorrow night. But in general, along and east of I-95, it waits until generally about the November timeframe. Allegheny County and also around Charlottesville, Albemarle County is a little bit early, typically waiting till after November 1st for its first freeze. So Central Virginia, just want you to be aware, we do have kind of a little bit of an early freeze potential for tonight. And again, I think we have a slight danger tomorrow night in much of the area. Indeed, Rick, we will get that wind down for you. It's been windy all weekend, but the good news is we diminish those winds a little bit tonight, another half notch tomorrow, and I think before sunset tomorrow, late afternoon tomorrow, those winds finally died down. But that's why we're talking about frost being potentially more widespread tomorrow with clear skies. That's one ingredient, and then calm conditions tomorrow night for Monday night. So these frost and freeze advisories are expected to be a little bit more widespread and closer to DC and along I-95 tomorrow. So we'll keep you posted at CapitalWeatherGang.com as we get through the day tomorrow to see where we might expect the coldest and calmest conditions to be experienced under clear skies tomorrow as well. Happy Sunday, Kristen. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let's check out the temperature trends for, well, first the wind, Rick. I love that you were asking about the wind. You can see it's kind of starting to focus more along the Potomac River and points northeastward. Gusts tomorrow should be capped around 20 miles an hour. I think this is a little bit high to see some of the 28, 29 mile per hour readings for tomorrow. But we should be able to cap that, especially by late tomorrow. I think the winds are really going to die off quickly before sunset tomorrow. Starts off a little bit cool this week. Here temperatures on Monday, 60s quickly turn to upper 60s on Tuesday. Then 70s dominate for Wednesday, for Thursday, Friday, and maybe Saturday as well. No precipitation is expected finally for this Saturday. We've had a pattern that many of you have complained about with rains happening over the weekend, but so far it looks dry. We'll keep you posted, of course, if anything changes, but enjoy this mild air that's coming in. Clouds are going to be few and far between for a good portion of our week. I think by kind of later week we could see some clouds move into the picture. But if you're wanting to avoid raindrops, none should be falling from even the later week cloud cover. Looking pretty dry, which is not necessarily great news over the next 7 days. Our drought situation, it continues. It is west of town over the I-81 corridor, and even now the Delmarva has a D1 drought, but the most severe D2 drought there is in the darker orange in the Shenandoah Valley around the I-81 corridor. So we could use some more rain targeted over that portion of the Appalachian Mountains. Hello, Peter. Thanks so much for tuning in. And Rick, you're most welcome. Ruth Elisa, hello. And David, I don't see record high temps being widespread at the end of the week, but we'll keep you posted at CapitalWeatherGang.com as we get closer. All right, here it is, the CWG.news/latest direct link to my PM update right here, or anytime you want it at CapitalWeatherGang.com. That's our forecast updated twice daily for you at CapitalWeatherGang.com. Right now, we're simulcasting on Facebook, X, and YouTube. Let me double check that I am connected to my Twitter account to make sure I'm getting all the X.com account. So I'm getting all of your comments. Looks like I can't do that for you right now, but Rick, thanks for tuning in from Facebook, and Peter and Ruth Elisa, I appreciate it. All right, we've got, looking ahead, precipitation patterns not too favorable to break or dent the droughts, especially along the I-81 corridor. Only well southwest of town For the next work week period, does it lean maybe with a slight probability above average for precipitation? Temperatures could maybe flip, slight probability that next work week we start turning a little bit below average, which I would argue starts getting cool by the end of October. We could see more 50s rather than 60s. So it's worth watching. Make sure you have some of those sweaters at the ready by next week perhaps. We've got Tammy right now spinning, Hurricane Tammy spinning near the Lesser Antilles near Puerto Rico. Expected to move northward over this work week. Maybe by the end of the work week, Bermuda may experience some tropical storm force winds at or above 39 miles per hour. Worth watching there. I don't think interests along the East Coast need to really watch Tammy closely, but keep like a wary little eye on it. Just make sure Tammy behaves over the end of this work week into the weekend. We'll just want to keep an eye on it. And heading slowly toward the next 7 days toward the coast, closer to the coast of Nicaragua. We've got that orange X there in the southwestern Caribbean Sea that has a moderate chance of developing, and that if it develops into a named storm in the next 7 days, it would be Vince. Your foliage report, we've got it all over the U.S. Our latest lower 48 forecast here at capitalweathergain.com. Make sure you find it by Ian Livingston. He gave you a great overview of where the color is the best. Now focusing this map for you on our region, we're finally getting some peak and past peak colors over the higher elevations of our region. Finally, some moderate color moving toward lower elevations eastward from the mountains. As we get closer to November, we can expect peak conditions to develop around the Beltway, east of the I-95 corridor. So just keep patient. We're getting toward typical peak color times for this time of year. So it's happening. It's moving eastward and lower elevations as we get closer toward November. Hello, Aaron. Thanks so much for tuning in from YouTube. The cold Ruth Elisa, we do have cold tonight and tomorrow night. We have to scour out of here, even some frosty conditions before we warm up middle and late part of this week. We'll go into that in just a moment. And David, next week 8 in the 8 to 14 day period, I do think we lean below average for those temperatures. And hurricanes get their name from the World Meteorological Organization, Ruth Elisa. And Paul, let's see, you're in northeastern Pennsylvania right now, and the colors are starting to fill in the green. That's excellent. I'm glad you're starting to see colors there as well. You're speaking to me earlier and earlier, 10 minutes earlier than last week. We've got sunset, the evening light is escaping us. Right now, 6:20 p.m. on the air right now for 20 minutes total. It looks like about another 11 minutes or so. I'm Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGain.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to our weekly Sunday Sunset Chats on Facebook, on X, on YouTube. Appreciate you sharing those with your friends and family. Those are the short links for you that go directly to our sites. And pollen is behaving itself. Trees and grasses are very low. I think hard to count recently. But weeds and mold are still a little bit around. I think I'm feeling some weeds myself this week, but hopefully you fellow fall allergy sufferers are feeling all right overall. Let's get back to the forecast at a glance for you. Cold couple mornings coming up, Monday morning and Tuesday morning. Frost and freeze areas we'll discuss over the next couple of days that are in the eyes of the National Weather Service, maybe ending our growing season in parts of the region. Latest forecast at CWG.news/latest. We are sunny this week. Sun should reign. Winds should calm by late tomorrow. We turn warmer into the 70s middle and late part of this week. No rain, unfortunately, for those wanting to break that drought along the Shenandoah Valley area. But we'll try and enjoy what we have while we have it. Decent temperature regime and weather conditions overall. But again, frost and freezes we have to get through the next couple of mornings before we can enjoy some of those warmer temperatures by the middle and later part of this week. All right, indeed, sunsets will be beginning way earlier after our time change. Indeed, David. Now here's the little advisory versus freeze warning here, lesson at the bottom. The freeze warning generally is what ends the growing season, and you can see it's arriving a little bit early for parts of central Virginia. Typically, around Charlottesville, for instance, we wait until early November to see our first freezing conditions. But it's not too unscheduled here. The latter part of October in the light green, further into November, like mid-November, and the lighter yellows there. So it's about time for the growing season in a patchwork fashion to be ending itself throughout the region. And I just want those of you with potted plants that you could save or bring inside or cover a few of your plants in the soil outside, you might be able to do it for tonight and tomorrow night. And I expect tomorrow night that we could have more widespread frost and freeze advisories. So worth watching over the next couple nights, but we do get into warmer conditions by the end of the week, and the wind dies down after tomorrow. By late afternoon, we should be nearing calm conditions, I think, before sunset tomorrow, but one last morning anyway of some decent breezy conditions and temperatures. After a cool kind of early week start in the low 60s, we go to upper 60s, I think, on Tuesday. 70s rule the rest of the week into the weekend. And Ruth Elisa, I know, 5 p.m. sunsets I'm not looking forward to into November, indeed. But enjoy these comfortable conditions this week, especially, I mean, I love 60s, but some of you might want the upper 60s Tuesday and then 70s for Wednesday into the rest of the week. Sunshine dominates. Here in the white is the clear skies. Clouds are in the blue. They might move in a little bit more toward the end of the week, but I still think that there will generally be thin clouds, and we won't see any precipitation, it doesn't look like, for the time between now and when you talk to me next for our weekly Sunday Sunset Chats. So that's good, right? If you have outdoor plans, but not good for this drought situation. A D2 severe drought continues, and parts of the Shenandoah Valley, west of town, and even the Delmarva has now gotten in on the game for droughts, with a D1 drought there as well. Here it is, my latest forecast at CWG.news/latest. This is what it looks like on CapitalWeatherGang.com, my PM update. I'm live right now on Facebook, X, and YouTube. Camden Walker for our weekly Sunday Sunset Chats. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. I appreciate all of you tuning in. I'm on the air another 8 minutes or so. Plenty of time to answer any of your forecast questions. We're going through all the components for the next several days, and even let's look ahead for next work week's trends as well. I'd like to give you kind of the medium-term forecast. Precipitation leaning maybe above average, slight probability of above average precipitation well southwest of town. Maybe not a clear signal around the DC area, but we'll watch it. We could certainly use that rain and precipitation. Temperatures leaning below average. Maybe the pattern changes for next work week as well in the 8 to 14 day period. Might want to keep those jackets, light coats, sweaters nearby just in case. High temperatures maybe get more into the 50s rather than 60s and, like this week, the 70s. Frost and freeze tonight. Scott for Prince William County is not in the cars, but let me show you where tonight anyway. Here are the frost and freeze advisories for going into tomorrow morning. Staying generally south and west of town. I expect Prince William tomorrow night for Monday night into Tuesday morning. We'll see more widespread frost and freeze advisories, Scott. So do prepare. Even though tonight you probably dodged a bullet, I think tomorrow night we could have even colder, calmer conditions with clear skies persisting. Let's see. Southerly breezes and humidity, James. So far, so good on the hot and humid air, not going to infiltrate our region this upcoming week. Great question from YouTube. And David, the alternate lists, I believe, do not change unless they are utilized for the tropical Atlantic by the World Meteorological Organization. Maria, thanks so much for tuning in from Facebook. And we've got Wednesday evening looking good, Paul, there in Vienna for your parade. Not wet this week. We are precipitation free. And I want to reiterate, it is going to be a generally sunny week. Very few clouds to speak of until the end of the week. And barely none. I think pretty much zero precipitation falling the entire week between now and when you talk to me next for a weekly Sunday Sunset Chat. So get all those outdoor plans done this week. And yes, I know we could use some rain over the Shenandoah Valley where there's in the dark orange here, a severe drought, a level 2, D2 drought situation. But, I'll try my best to spin positive in the short term. It's going to be comfortable this week with 70s taking over by the middle of this week. Calm, sunny, and dry conditions are great for outdoor plans, especially if you have Halloween outdoor plans like Paul this upcoming week. All right, one more time, my PM update right here at CWG.news/latest. There we go. Anytime you need us, 24/7, we're at CapitalWeatherGang.com. I'm on Facebook, X, and YouTube right now, doing our weekly Sunday Sunset Chat Q&A every week. Let me know if you have any questions or comments in the next 5 minutes. Let's see. Saturday evening, I think we're still okay for outdoor Halloween plans, Paul. Fire pit sounds good in case temperatures start trending downward by the middle part of the weekend. And Friday looks great, Ruth Elisa, for dentist appointments. Maybe a few clouds around, but so far no widespread, if any, chances of rain at all, even at the end of the week. So have a great appointment. I hope all is well at the dentist. Now let's look ahead into the medium term. Precipitation Generally, you have to go southwest of town next work week to maybe lean with slight probability above average precipitation. Temperatures may lean below average, slight signal for below average temperatures next work week. So do keep those sweaters and coats and jackets nearby. Tropics remain active. We've got two systems out there. Number one, Hurricane Tammy. Likely heading toward Bermuda by the end of this week. They could see some tropical storm force conditions there on the island by the end of the week. We'll watch off the coast of Nicaragua, a moderate chance for a disturbance to develop maybe into tropical storm Vince before the week is over. So that is worth keeping an eye on. But so far, no immediate or direct threats to the United States. And foliage is getting going throughout the nation. Be sure to check out our article there at capitalweathergang.com, written by Ian Livingston. And the region here, still very little color along and east of I-95, but it is moving to lower elevations, eastward progression toward lower elevations. We've even got some past peak conditions in the area. So we'll, at the highest elevations in West Virginia or so. All right, sunset times. I hate to show you and tell you, we've lost 10 more minutes since you last talked to me last Sunday for our weekly Sunday sunset chats. Now back to 6:20 p.m. And we might talk about 10 minutes earlier next week, closer and closer to the 6 p.m. hour, even before the time change in November. I'm on Facebook, X, and YouTube. Thanks for sharing those shortened links with our friends and family. Simulcasting to you live every Sunday. Pollen is behaving itself right now, so hopefully my fellow allergy sufferers are feeling all right. We've got some questions coming in. Ruth Elisa, you're most welcome. And we've got James. Halloween so far looking okay. It's leaning maybe a little bit cool, but could be dry. Specifics and timing still to be determined about 10 days out, so stay tuned to capitalweathergang.com as we get closer. And Atlantic City, Lewis, you've got a great sunset there for that Sunday evening. I'm so happy. Share your photos to our Facebook page and even tag us on X if you can. That'd be great. I'd love to see some sunset photos. And winds, Abby, for tomorrow. Let's look at that really quick. They are slowly dying, those winds for tomorrow. I'm happy to report maybe, let's call it a fairly breezy morning tomorrow. Maybe some gusts around 20 miles per hour. I think these are a little bit high for tomorrow. I think we'll stay under 28, 29 miles per hour. But I think it's safe to assume tomorrow morning into midday looks pretty darn windy. But by late afternoon, those winds should tank. We should actually get near calm by sunset tomorrow. And then, yes, some breezes this week, but nowhere near the wind we've seen this weekend and into tomorrow morning. It's coming. The end of the wind is coming. Sunnier, calmer, clear sky conditions. It's going to be a very decent week. Let me show you how it looks. 60s for Monday and Tuesday, 70s middle into the end of the week. Latest forecast there at CWG.news/latest. That's the direct link to my PM update at capitalweathergang.com. All right, 2-minute warning. Last questions and comments. Get them in a moment. We'll recap everything as we go along. Paul, you're rejoicing at the weather. And David, I know the time change in November is going to be bugging me as well. All right, Abby, I hope I answered your questions about the wind. It's going to really improve by later tomorrow. Frost and freeze advisories in effect for tonight. Generally south and west of town. Expect more widespread, even around town. Frost and freeze advisories are possible tomorrow. Even along I-95 can't be ruled out, so keep that in mind. The growing season is coming to an end. Be nimble if you are a gardener or farmer. Cover what you can. Bring inside those potted plants if you can. But I just want to start warning you, it is climatologically, the end of the growing season is approaching. Here in the light green is the last 10 days of October, where indeed we're in right now. We typically see our first freezes into November in the yellows, and lightest yellows there could even last some growing season kind of southeast of Virginia and Hampton Roads in toward middle of November as well. Even downtown toward lowest elevations of DC around the river can also have a growing season go later into November. David, you're most welcome. I appreciate you so much for tuning in. We talked about wind diminishing quickly tomorrow. Well, not too quickly. I'll call it a windy morning into midday, but the afternoon, especially late afternoon and before sunset, we should see calming conditions. Here's your warming temperatures. We start a little bit chilly tomorrow. A couple frosts and freezes are possible for tonight and tomorrow night, but then off to the races we go into lovely October weather. 70s dominate the rest of the week, Wednesday onward, and then clouds. Hard to find one for the early part of the week, but yes, a few clouds at the end of the week. We're still precipitation free though. Look how dry we are, which is not great news, but Outdoor plans, enjoy the next 7 days. It looks like we will have little to no precipitation by the time between now and when you talk to me next Sunday for our weekly Sunday sunset chat. Definitely can use some precipitation now, even over the Delmarva is in droughts, and the most severe drought there in the dark orange west of town along the Shenandoah Valley, D2 severe drought. And let's see, precipitation not giving us a good signal for above average, except leaning that way, maybe southwest of town. And this is next work week, of course. We're looking further ahead in the 8 to 14 day period when temperatures could lean below average as well. So get, sweaters out if you haven't already, just in case. Tropics remain active. I covered that in my CWG.news/latest forecast as well. And foliage is getting going, not just around here in the mid-Atlantic, but nationwide. Ian Livingston gave you a great synopsis at capitalweathergang.com this weekend, so make sure you check in for that. And all right, I think I'm ready to sign off until next weekend. Pollen is behaving itself. Sunsets will be getting earlier and earlier, so I'll speak to you a little bit after 6 next week. Thanks for tuning in from Facebook, X, and YouTube. And Paul wants it to rain after Halloween once those plans are done. I get it. And Julia, thanks for tuning in from YouTube. You're most welcome. And Paul, most kind, I'm happy to give you informative information. You're the best. All right, take care until next week. Have a really good work week, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.